Welcome to the Fit Vegan Podcast, the show where we help you optimize your health, fitness, and mindset on a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. My name is Maxime. I am a former triathlete, powerlifter, bodybuilder, and basketball player, and I've been vegan for over 9 years. I'm also the founder and CEO of Fit Vegan Coaching, which has helped over 500 vegans from 20 different countries to completely transform their bodies and their health. I'm excited for you to hear today's episode. Let's get into the show. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan Podcast. Today, I'm joined with Michael, who's the co-founder of Your Super with his wife, Krystal, a superfood company on a mission to help improve people's health with the power of super plants. Michael had his own health journey from growing up as an athlete and playing tennis at a professional level until he got diagnosed with cancer. He and his wife went through this challenging journey and came out with their powerful mission. I feel blessed and excited to be chatting with Michael today. Michael, how are you doing today, man?
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to chat.
Yeah, absolutely. When we got put in contact by our common friend, Robert Cheek, and I had heard of your company before, and I started doing some research into you and into your wife, and I discovered obviously your journey of being an athlete and then getting diagnosed with cancer. I was like I was telling you before we started recording, I'm like, that's very similar to my journey. And so very excited to dive into it for people to kind of understand like how it's not worth it for you to not take care of your health. And not saying that you were not taking care of your health because you were an athlete. So obviously you were, right? So let's dive into that, man. Like what got you to the place? What was kind of like that initial journey of being an athlete and then to getting diagnosed?
Yeah, growing up in Germany, it was a very meat heavy diet, as you can imagine, potatoes and meat.
Where in Germany?
Staple. West Germany, close to Cologne. The town is called Aachen. Düsseldorf, Cologne, Frankfurt, kind of that West German area.
Oh, beautiful.
So then was always an athlete, so I didn't really think about my diet. Played tennis all my life, and then actually studied in the US with a scholarship. So I played college tennis in the US, and I remember so vividly now, talking about diet in college sports was always about, right, the common themes was always, okay, chicken and protein after the match, pasta before the match, carb up before the match, right? And we would go to Subways before matches because we felt that was a healthier option. Our coach thought, hey, let's go to Subway.
Chicken and carbs.
Exactly. So our coach was like, let's go to Subway, and we all would eat the tuna sandwiches, like with so much mayo, and then we all would cramp up, and we're like, what just happened? It cannot be the Subway. No, we're not fit enough. We're not fit enough, although we were practicing. And but I didn't know any of this before. I was just like being in that moment. And then after my college experience, went back to Europe, studied with a master's. And now 10 years ago, I can remember it to the day, I'm all of a sudden sitting in this doctor's office in Aachen, my hometown, next to me only men in their 70s in this urologist office. And I was like, what in the world am I doing here? I just was traveling the world with Krystal, my then girlfriend, now wife. And what am I doing in this doctor's office? And a few moments later, he looked at me, looked at my, how you say that? My testicles, not testicles, and said, hey, we found something and it's cancer. And that obviously was a major shock, right? A major shock. And going through that, all my thoughts in the beginning was like, okay, survival. How do I get through this, right? What do I need to do? Okay, chemo, surgery. Okay, we'll get through this. And it wasn't until I went through this, I started questioning why, right? And one of the few things I picked up from my doctor back then was he was like, hey, you're physically sick, right? You have cancer. But you also mentally will come a point where you're mentally sick too, which I thought was very interesting. And I was like, I'm fine. But it came after, where it's like this why question, this burning why question. Why did I get sick? Why me? Why cancer? Why do people get cancer? Right. And what can I do now that I'm cleared, technically, right? From all of this, what can I do to stay healthy? And when I started researching, then I didn't have to look far, right? I had to just Google it, and then the World Health Organization is all there. First hit on Google, right? What makes people get cancer, right? And there's several risk factors, right? Lifestyle factors that 50% of cancers are based on lifestyle factors. It's right there. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm just quoting studies that and stats that are just out there, right? Everybody can look at the World Health Organization and read it. So I was like, okay, what are these risk factors? And I realized, okay, one of the risk factors is food, right? And I was like, wow, that was a light bulb moment for me where I realized, okay, you can't control everything in your life, but I can control what I eat and I fuel my body. Right? Because some of the other things, like maybe I can't control how stressed I am, where I live, right? And so I was like, no, this one I can control. And if this is a major risk factor moving forward, I don't want to get sick again, ever again. I don't want anybody going through this because going through chemo, it sucks, right? It sucks, as you know, right? Being so close there. And so that was a major light bulb moment. And from there on, Krystal was in my life already. She was giving me all the superfoods to recover. There was one other thing with the doctor was so funny. I don't know if you experienced that, but the doctor said first during chemo, he said you can't do anything with food, and I believed him obviously, but obviously now I know, hey, there's a lot of things you can help with how you feel your body, and the second thing he said, hey, you're healthy now, but I didn't feel healthy, right? I lost all my hair and my immune system was completely down after chemo, and so Krystal gave me all the superfoods. And I was like, what in the world are superfoods? I'm a meat-eating German, right? And you're giving me wheatgrass, barley grass. What in the world are these? And again, I'm more like I'm maybe an analytical person, and I started researching, saying, hey, is this just a term, or is there really something? And the more research about superfoods, how food has been used as medicine for hundreds, thousands of years around the world by different communities.
Look at Chinese medicine. It's been
right?
around for a long time.
Right. Moringa and stuff, or matcha, right? And it's like, hey, why are not more people using superfoods? Because it's so easy, right? The powder's just in my smoothie or my yogurt. I feel so much better. And that was the start of the company. And sorry, that was a long answer to the question, but that's kind of the long answer to kind of the story, how it all started with your super and how we developed the mixes.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Well, I actually like to go back to the beginning of the story, because you were really young when you got diagnosed, right? I think you were 22.
I was 24.
Oh, you're 24.
Yeah.
And so I think your wife was 22.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind me asking, like, what was it? Were you just going like a regular exam at the doctor, and he was like, hey, you have this thing? Because there's a lot of young people listening to the podcast as well that, just to be cautious.
Yeah. So I had testicular cancer. It wasn't clear before in the urologist office. I was showering in Sri Lanka on our world trip traveling on the first night with Krystal. I didn't see her for a long time. So I was showering and I felt something in at the right ball.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm German. My words are not.
That's all right. It is what it is. It's a ball, so it's all right.
Exactly. Right. So on the right ball, I felt something, and it didn't hurt, but I felt kind of a lump or something on it. It felt weird, and so I knew from somebody else, family friend, that there is such a thing of testicular cancer for young men. And so I felt that, and it didn't go away. So I got it checked out, I think 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
When we traveled back, and that's the thing, right? It's silent, right? It didn't hurt.
You wouldn't really know if you didn't.
No, you wouldn't. Exactly. And yeah, my big shout out is to people listening. It's number one cancer for young men, 22 to 35. It's the most common cancer for men. So checking and when you shower and stuff, checking everything's okay. The earlier you detect it, the better. It's a very, very, very high chance of survival. It's like 99+%, right? Because it's a very treatable cancer. But you obviously want to detect it as early as you can, so you don't have to go through this whole thing, and it shouldn't spread and stuff. So, by the way, I'm not 100% sure if I said the right stats, but just a disclaimer. But it's a very curable and treatable cancer, but a very common one.
Yeah. And so how was that for you? Because I've been an athlete my whole life as well, and I've kind of had my moments where you kind of like get sick. So talking about identity, like you were identified as a fit, healthy individual. You were used to moving a lot and traveling and competing. And now you're like in one instant, bam, you're completely on the opposite side of the spectrum. How was that for you to just go from one piece of identity to now a completely different one?
At first I think you stay in that identity in terms of, okay, I'll just get through this because I'm strong and I'm an athlete and I'm healthy and I'll do everything I can to get through this. So you switch right away into the survival mode, very, very strong. And then afterwards, when you go through this, that's why it was so important that he said that, the doctor, to me, in terms of your mental aspect, because afterwards there's a part of you that lost trust in your body. And for a long time afterwards, I didn't trust my own body, in terms of, right, every time I would feel something in my body, I was like, oh, is this cancer again? Is this right? And it took a few years, right? A few years after I've been cleared, that I could really trust my body again. And that mental shift is very interesting, because you have to really work on yourself to, ideally work with people that had cancer or know what you're talking about, and really get a little bit help there, because it's rebuilding that trust. Because, right, as an athlete, you feel so strong, you trust your body, but that somehow was broken, and you have to rebuild that.
Yeah. Would that be associated with like the sense of invincibility that you have when you're younger? You're like, whatever shows up, I can take it. My body can kind of handle it. And then that's the thing that was questioned.
That's a good point. Yes, that's definitely a big aspect of this. Where, oh shoot, it can go so fast, right? What am I doing with my life? It can go so fast, and health is obviously the priority. That's one aspect. And then, just even in a practical sense, right? You get scared. Anytime you have a cold, you're like, oh, is this a cold? And you say stupid stuff to yourself. Is it a cold, or I do have now lung cancer and stuff, right? You like, it's like so far away from the reality, but you somehow you're insecure about your body and every symptoms, right? Or I feel something, right? Is that a spot, or I hit myself, or is it now, do I have cancer in my leg or something, right? So you feel practical sense of trust is gone, and then part of the bigger scale that you said, I think the invincibility is gone, and now you're like, oh, do I get it again? Right? And does it come back?
Yeah, it just feels a bit more vulnerable.
It's
like you're more exposed to kind of things. And I do remember that with my ex-partner, like it just things being blown out of proportion, right? Like there's a cough and it's like, holy shit, did it spread into my lungs? And then
exactly, really, like if you now like further away, you would almost laugh at this. It's so laughable, right? But in the moment, you're like, what if, right? This is what if in your head, right? Because you've been through, it's like, what if, right? It's not. And we talk about, probably it's not in a far distant anymore, right? Usually we talk about cancer and other chronic diseases 30 years down the road, right? Other people, right? But no, you had it. So the what if is like so strong because you actually had it, and it's not like somebody in your relatives had it, right? And it's far away.
So for the superfood journey and kind of like switching up your nutrition, did that happen as you were kind of going through chemo and that process, or did it come after you were cleared?
After I was cleared, because I wasn't, first of all, I didn't know anything about it, and I wasn't ready back then for that, because I didn't have the right. I was just starting on my health journey, So I started that after I went through everything, and the light bulb moment happened first, and I was like, oh yeah, how you feel your body does matter. It's logical, right, that it matters. What you put in your body matters.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, oh, now I want to experiment. And I know Krystal put me in my first detox, and it was just amazing experience how I felt. I felt so much sharper, and my immune system got back pretty quickly. And I want to share that. And now I would say, yeah, even during everything, right? I would have obviously taken care of my body, right? Because you're fighting something, you should fuel your body the best possible way.
Yeah. Were you already with your wife when you got diagnosed, or did she kind
Yeah.
of come in after? You guys were already together?
We're already 5 years dating, and she
Okay.
played college tennis as well. So we both played college tennis in Georgia, in Valdosta, Georgia, and met there and went through this journey together.
Yeah. Well, I just want to acknowledge your wife. I know she's not here, but acknowledge your wife, how strong she
Yeah,
had to be a caregiver, and to see someone that you love be hurt and not be able to heal them instantly, right? There's such a
yeah,
sense of, I'm sure, going through cancer as well, because I can't even comprehend that. I know the pain of a caregiver is only a small fraction of what
yeah,
the cancer patient is going through, but just that sense of powerlessness it sucks, right? And I can't even imagine, like, in your shoes, you're like, I want this to be healed, I want this to be gone, but there's a sense of powerlessness as to how to heal, because you don't know how to, right? You don't know necessarily the right thing. So did that knowledge of kind of like superfoods and building up your immune system give you more of like a sense of power and control back over your health to kind of rebuild that confidence in your body?
100%. It was so much more empowering, right? I felt very disempowered being in chemo and in that medical doctor induced world first, right? And going through that, because like I asked him, can I do something, right? And he's like, no, just do what
Yeah.
I tell you, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you eat. So I felt very powerless, but through a help, um, and seeing the results right after eating, changing my diet to a plant-based diet, um, that felt so much more empowering, because again, to my light bulb moments, like I felt, hey, I can't control everything, but I can control this one part. And if I can control this one part, one of the major risk factors is gone, right? And therefore I feel empowered and have the power to change my own destiny here in the next 50, 60 years. And to Krystal's point of a caregiver, yeah, they play such an important role in Krystal's case. Was her mom had cancer when she was 12. So both the most important people in her life, her mom once, then me, had cancer, and that was the moment for her when she said, okay, I want to know more. I want to understand why people get cancer. Then she watched Forks Over Knives,
Yeah.
as so many of us, right, watched in such an impactful documentary, and she's like, oh my God, this is crazy, the information in there. And turned plant-based the next day, and then inspired me to turn plant-based. From my background, as I said, it took me a little more time to do it, but pretty quickly, gradually, yeah, pretty quickly actually, we both went into the plant-based journey together, and it's, yeah, the rest is then kind of what we did over the last 10 years.
Yeah. And so is that Forks Over Knife that got her into like superfood and proposing that to you, or was she already kind of
Yeah,
in that space before?
that was the moment she turned plant-based, and then she was using superfood for herself. And yeah, as a start in a plant-based journey to make smoothies and adding some superfoods. And that was back then in London, 10 years ago, and was fairly common already. And then she would give me all these powders, and I was like, what in the world is this? And and then, yeah, she would mix a jar of different green superfoods together and say, hey, this is the greens, right? Whatever you do, just get the greens in. The more greens, the
Yeah.
better, as we know. And then more people ask us, hey, can we also get this mix? It looks great. It's so easy. And that was kind of the start of your super, where we then said, okay, we want our personal mission, right? I want to help people eat healthier and eat more plants, and Superfoods could be a great way. And so she developed everything. She was the brain and the nutritionist and health coach now. And her family had two nutritionists. Her mom is a nutritionist, and her aunt. We all sit together and say, what can we do to make it easy for people?
Yeah. So I guess you in the early days of your super, when you guys were making your smoothies, I remember those, like back in the day, you had like 15 bags of superfood in your fridge. You just come stuff out, you just scoop it out of every bag. Your counter's full of superfoods.
And that was exactly her cabinet. That was not 15, it was more like 50. And I remember that day when she in the Whole Foods in London told me, okay, because I was traveling back to Germany for my family for a few weeks. It's like, okay, for your travel, you need spirulina, chlorella, wheatgrass, barleygrass, acai, and this. And I was like, wait a minute. I need all these, right? First of all, I can't afford all of these. And it's so complicated. I can't barely pronounce them.
Yeah.
Let me know what I need to do, put together, right? So that was another important moment in our journey when we realized it should be easier. And people shouldn't have to know kind of all the ins and outs of superfood. Oh, hey, this is the function I need. Give me the one product, everything's in there, it's clean, and then take that.
Yeah. So what was the blend that she primarily made you take originally when you transitioned and you were trying to rebuild your immune system?
It was similar to our current super green mix, which is wheatgrass, barleygrass, spirulina, chlorella, moringa, and baobab.
Yeah.
So a huge loads of greens, ton of chlorophyll. Then baobab vitamin C is in there. So that was kind of the original mix to help rebuild my immune system. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Because I was going through your website before, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to buy the Cocoa Clarity one, just like a little brain booster in the morning when I'm working. But then I was wondering which one was kind of like the original formulation.
Yeah,
that kind
there
of
was the
originally
original
helped
one,
you.
and from there we had a few other ones, but the green one is a staple, and we recommend obviously the green one to everybody. Just to your daily greens is so important. And we realized also we wanted to have a mix that is only 5-6 ingredients.
Yeah.
Right, and we saw some back then, even we started 10 years, like mixes with like 100, 200, 300 ingredients, and we always wondered, like, how can your body like absorb like a
For sure.
0.00000 spinach, right, or something, right? And we
Yeah.
felt like, hey, if you really want to benefit from wheatgrass, you really should have a full portion of wheatgrass, right? It's very powerful. And so that's why we stuck with 5-6 ingredients, no sugars, no stevias, nothing, and learn to along the way kind of different mixes. But that was always our values, kind of very, very clean. If there's superfoods in, it should be superfoods actually in the can, and not some bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. So basically, I love the philosophy of like, if you're going to have a proper portion, have the full portion versus,
Yeah,
because I get it. Like I have multiple businesses. Like it's a marketing thing of like, get vitamins from 300 plus different fruits and
yeah,
vegetables, but then you get so minimal that you get none of it ultimately, but it
yeah.
sounds cool and it
Sounds
sounds
great.
badass. Yeah. So that's one thing I really enjoyed is you guys don't have any artificial fillers or anything like that. You even show a photo of like the tub, because it's also like, again, it's another marketing thing. Most people want the tub to be full, but even though half of it
Yeah.
is fillers, they still want it to be full. So kind of explain that logic when you guys kind of went into building this company and this product is ultimately is really amazing. I'm really excited to give it a shot. What was the philosophy behind when you built it?
Yeah, so we wanted to we're using the products ourselves, right? So we made products ourselves, and we didn't want to have any fillers or artificial flavors or anything in there. I just wanted to have a superfoods, right? And what I just said, we wanted to have what's in the front of the package. We wanted to show up on the ingredients list. And so many times, right, if you go look and there's acai in there, and you turn it around, it's the last ingredient, and sometimes just an acai flavor. I had that the
Yeah.
other day, and I was like, are you kidding me? It's like you're advertising with acai, and there's not even acai in there, there's this flavor in there. Right. So we wanted to do super clean, no sugars, no stevia was a big thing for us. Nothing artificial in there. just pure nature, 100% nature.
Yeah.
And we started out doing that, 5, 6 ingredients as we talked about, not 400. And we started out doing that, and then realized where you're getting your superfoods from is also makes a huge difference. In the early days when we didn't know anything, we would we would order wheatgrass just to test, wheatgrass from China and wheatgrass from Germany. And the wheatgrass from China was yellow and cost, I think, a few dollars per kilo.
Yeah.
And the wheatgrass from Germany was bright green, smelled like grass,
Yeah.
and cost us 10 times as much. And we're like, this is crazy, right? The one is clearly amazing in terms of efficacy, right? Because it's like grass, right? And the
Yeah.
other one, I don't even know what it is, right?
Yeah.
So we made the shift to, we want to know where everything comes from. So if you scroll our website, you see farmers. I've been on the wheatgrass field in Germany. I've been in Peru with our macar farmer, acai in Brazil. We have seen them grow. Our organic superfoods is 100% organic. That was important for us too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of philosophy, right? Super clean, transparent, 100% organic. So you only get the good stuff because we have superfoods in the name. So it should be actually superfoods in there, not just some fillers.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to work in the food supplement space, and yeah, when we talk about like moringa as an ingredient you source, if you source it from like Africa or from India, there's a very different quality and like nutrient density to the
Yeah.
herb. It's ultimately one of it is moringa, but it's just like dead moringa and low quality
Yeah.
moringa versus the other one.
Yeah.
And that's something I always want to like preface for people, especially people listening, like depending on the company, like I love smaller companies, right? Because especially the ones that haven't been bought out, because as soon as you get bought out, then there's a cheapening of the ingredients that kind of comes out. And people care more about like profit margin versus the actual quality of the product. And then you start to notice a difference in the efficacy of the supplement ultimately. Actually having like good quality ingredients in the product. Because again, I used to work in the food space before, and a lot of brands, when they get bought out, typically from like really massive corporations, then there's a cheapening of the ingredients that takes place because they want to increase profit margins ultimately. And that's when they're going to go buy in China, for example, the ingredient versus going to Germany for the wheatgrass because there's more profit margin on that side, but you lose the efficacy of your product ultimately.
Efficacy and quality control too, because I feel like we always wanted to show with our supply chain, transparent supply chain, that you can do it differently, right? And there is a win-win, because when you pay their labor down there and you pay them the right prices, right? They're helping you scale, they're helping with you, you're making a huge impact there. Plus you have better quality, you can control it better because you're one source, and you can grow with them. And that's how we build it. And I'm still very excited about, because in my opinion, business should be, and especially most business should be a win-win, right? We shouldn't just forget about everything that's happening on a supply chain side. And that's why we became a B Corp, right? The B Corp is kind of the stamp and approval and credibility around business as a force for good, right? You have to apply, and it's an accreditation, and that takes into account that you're not having just kind of your shareholders as a focus, but a lot of stakeholders, right? The environment, the suppliers, and you do good for and the world. And I feel like that's how we should approach business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so you guys being in this space and kind of coming up with like really cool products and really cool combination, obviously superfood is the main emphasis. What are the main misconceptions that you hear that people have about superfood, especially when they come to your product? Not to say maybe they don't know what it is. Like, what are the main misconceptions that people have?
So we're always talking about getting more plants in, right? And that's kind of our goal with our mixes, different functions, obviously, because people look for functions, right? They look for quick fixes. Everybody's looking for that. But the main message for us is always how can you get more fruits and vegetables in, right? And we have them in a dried powder form. So we're focusing on that, and our with your super, we're always teaching people how to cook and how to make more plant-based food, whole food plant-based food, right? And getting them inspired. And then the products are usually just a tool for that. So our main message is much more broad of, hey, let's eat let's eat more fruits and vegetables, right?
Yeah.
Hey, this is your first step, could be one of our products because it's so easy and you don't have to change your entire lifestyle. You can just add that into your smoothie or in a yogurt or whatever, in water. So a lot of people, right, in terms of come to us because not particularly want to only use superfoods. They come to us because they want to eat healthier and they want to work on their health. They want to eat more plants, and the superfoods a lot of kind of times just the first tool for them in a toolbox. And some of them, they don't even know what superfoods are, right? And then you have some of the misconceptions around, or how do I use them, right? And do they cure all sorts of things, right? And is it a magic pill, etc. But with so many things, right, it's got to be consistency, and it's a great way of using them daily in your diet to get more fruits and vegetables, and ultimately more vitamins and minerals in your diet, right? So that's kind of the misconception that we broaden up, because we want to have a conversation not just about superfoods, but hey, you got to eat more plants, right? And you got to eat more fruits and vegetables, because 9 of 10 people don't eat enough every day. That's a stat, right?
Yeah.
9 of 10 people. And so we're here an easy way to help people eat more.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with you. So you guys have a few different blends on the website.
Yeah.
Just for the people listening that potentially had never like checked out your website, what are the most popular blends that people tend to gravitate to for people to check out?
And most popular is our detox bundle. We bundle up and give you program, 5-day program, which is so powerful. Hundreds of thousands of people have done it now. And that's a great way to get started. 5-day detox, you're going to be amazed how good you feel after 5 days, and what you feel in 5 days. And that's a crazy part, Maxime, right? It only takes 5 days for your body to change. And our detox is all about eating very clean and healthy. It's not just a juice cleanse or a smoothie cleanse. It is actually includes eating, includes snacks. It's not about being hungry. It's just overloading your body with all the goodness. It's plant-based, it's whole foods, it's no caffeine and no salt and no sugars and stuff, but it's just very, very clean eating for 5 days. And the results are amazing.
Yeah, beautiful. So I have it here. So it's the Forever Beautiful. So you have a superfood smoothie powder, you have the skinny protein, the grateful gut, the golden mellow, and then the super greens.
Yeah.
And so does it come with a protocol of what meals to kind of eat throughout the whole process?
Correct. It comes with a detox booklet, where a detox program where everything is explained, where your meals are explained, your shopping list, your journal. We have a huge community where people can be part of the detox and ask questions. We have community detox. We just had one with a few thousand people last 2 weeks ago, and where everybody goes through it together, right? So we're a big Facebook group of 60, 70,000 people that are there to help, right? Not just the company, but help each other. And it's 5 days, Monday to Friday or whenever you want to do it, but it's 5 days.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I like that, because the juicing part, I think, has its place when you're like sick, but for the most part, if you're trying to detox, like, you need some fiber, you need some vitamins and nutrients from real food, you need to be chewing some type of food versus just doing liquid. So I really appreciate the structure you guys have to that.
Yeah, no, it all has a place. I wouldn't say everything else is bad, but it's just we feel like we're teaching people how to eat very clean, and if you can do that for 5 days, you can your taste change, you have so much more energy, you lose a little weight, you feel lighter, right? You have more clarity. All these are benefits in 5 days, and I feel like everybody can do 5 days. It doesn't have to be like the 30-day water fast, which is honestly pretty crazy, pretty hard, right? And it's not super practical. So we want to make it super practical, super approachable, that everybody can finish and can go through.
Yeah, for sure. 5 days won't affect your life in a negative way, but 30-day water fast, like, your work suffers, your family suffers, a lot of other things suffers. But ultimately, there's people that are like so sick that there's a place and time for these protocols. Except there's no bad ones. It's just there's a time and place for them.
Yeah.
Depending on kind of where you're at in your journey. One thing I wanted to do for our listeners as well, and kind of we talked a little bit before, is I want to do a book giveaway because you guys have your new book that you wrote. When did it launch?
It launched in April. It's called Your Super Life. And for anybody who feels like, oh, this sounds interesting, but I still don't understand how would I use superfoods? What do I cook? Which is a lot of us, right? We need an inspiration recipe, especially how to cook ourselves. And that has been a question for 10 years is, this all sounds great, but how do I cook? Right? How do I do a healthy meal? What do I eat on a daily basis? So we wrote this book for all of us that have these questions. And superfoods is part of it. There's a top 25 superfoods if you want to use our products or not. It's just it doesn't have to be with our products. We'll give you all the recommendations. We'll give you meal plans. We'll give you healthy options split in breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snack options, super easy to use, over 100 recipes. So it's your go-to. I would say it's your go-to plant-based superfood book in your kitchen. That if you want something fast, that's the other part, right? We all don't have time. We all don't have time to do this elaborate plant-based recipes that take and sprout.
You need to be a master chef to make it.
Sprout our own hummus and stuff, right? We don't have time. We all love it, but we don't have time for this. So most of our recipes are very easy to make with ingredients everybody has in their household. You don't have to go to 4 stores to get the ingredients. It's very everyday staples, and it takes you usually 20-30 minutes or less. Right, and so that's what we want to teach people. It doesn't have to be complicated to eat healthy. It should be easy. Superfoods are easy, so get it. Check it out. Your Super Life.
Yeah, beautiful. So for the people listening, I'll be doing a giveaway on my Instagram. Amazing. And with you guys' page as well.
Yeah.
So it's Your Superfood. What's the handle? Your Superfood something.
Your Superfoods. Yeah. It's called Your Superfoods. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, we do give away 5 books. And also as you were talking, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a giveaway, a private giveaway for our members as well. So I'll do 3-book giveaway for our active members, and we'll do a 5-book giveaway on the platform. And so you guys just be sure to stay tuned on our Instagrams to have some more details so you guys can enter and participate that. And Michael, man, it was honestly really awesome meeting you. It was a pleasure meeting you. I really appreciate your time. I know we do have like a big time difference because you're in Germany right now, right?
I'm in Portugal right now.
Portugal, okay. So you're like a 7 or 8 hour difference with me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, man, honestly, like your story is really inspiring, and I'm really happy that Robert connected us because I didn't know the story behind Your Superfood because I obviously had heard of the brand and seen it multiple times, but really happy that we got the chat, and I really appreciate your authenticity and your vulnerability in sharing your story because it's not something that a lot of people are willing to do, and ultimately, it is the reality of the world that we live in. Like these things happen, and we need to be equipped to be ready to handle them and like basically how to heal from them. So I really appreciate the work that you and your wife are doing. Hey,
Maxime, thank you so much. And I'm excited for all the work you're doing. You're inspiring so many people. Keep up the good work. Thank you. And I'm excited for our next lunch somewhere in LA and eating some delicious vegan food.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a workout and cafe gratitude are going to be involved. Those are going to be 2 spots.
100%. 100%. It's so funny, though, Maxime. Right? One more other note. Is yesterday I was standing next to somebody, and it came up to somebody who was working out. Where do you get your protein, right? And I know Robert is the perfect guy to answer all of this, and probably was on your podcast to answer it. But we have a lot of work to do to educate people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the question is still very common, but I think it's getting more popular, right? Kind of the Game Changers really made a big movement in that, and I know they're coming out with the 2nd documentary, so I know it's going to give a 2nd big boost to kind of the community. But yeah, we do have a lot of work to do. So
a lot of work.
I appreciate you spreading that word. Thank you very much for coming on, and for everyone listening again. I'll link all of Michael's websites down below, like the Instagram, the website where you can get the book, where you can buy the superfood blends as well. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you guys. Bye.